This is Diana, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to have an NG tube in our lives. In 2021, we were struggling with her oral feeds because Diana kept getting sick with lung infections. She had lost a lot of weight, she was becoming anemic, and she was having constant fevers, coughs, chills. In July that year, doctors decided to put an NG tube down because they felt that her sickness was due to aspirational pneumonia. The NG tube didn't change her lung condition because it wasn't pneumonia due to aspiration. However, it did help us to give her the nutrition and medication she needed to get her on track to get better. So this is an NG tube, which is similar to what Diana has. And the size Diana has is an FR8. The sizes and the lengths of the NG tube will be determined by your doctor. When it comes to inserting the NG tube, you will usually be trained by the hospital or by the nurses as to how it is to be done for your child. Diana's NG tube sits on her stomach, whilst for some others, the NG tube would be further down and sits near the intestines. This is important because depending on where the location is, the type of feed you give would change. With Diana's sitting in the stomach, you can give her bolus feeds, which means one big feed at a time. If the tube is sitting more closer to the intestines or the gut, you have to give them continuous feeds or TPP feeds, which means you will be on a 24-hour feed cycle. As you can see, the NG tubes are quite thin. That means you can only give them thin liquids as their meals. Diana's has 2 ports, which means we can give her 2 things at the same time. Or one port can be always located for her feeds, her milk feeds, and the other one could be for medicines. The good thing about the NG tube is that we can always make sure that Diana has her nutritional intake, her liquid intake, and her medications regardless of what she is going through. This is especially important during long periods of sickness. For example, back in 2021, when she was really sick, Diana would sleep continuously without waking up to have oral feeds or even taking her medication. The NG tube helped us to make sure she got all of those things, which are very important to help with recovery. There are a few ways that you can give feeds through the NG tube. The first way is through a syringe. So you would unscrew the tap. As you can see, I'm pinching this from here. That is mainly because we don't want any liquid that is already in her stomach coming up via the tube. Screw it in, and then you can slowly push the medication or the feed through the tube. And then you would unscrew it. The other way of giving a feed through a tube is through what we call a gravity feed. That's when you screw in an empty syringe to the NG tube, lift it up, and then very slowly, you can pour some of the liquid and then let gravity slowly do its job. And then the liquid will slowly go into her stomach. The last way of feeding is through a feeding pump. The controls here will control the speed and volume of the feed. This will be preset for you according to the needs of your child. Once that is done, you take the end of the tube, take the end of the NG, make sure you kink it, unscrew, screw that part in, and then you press start, and then the feed will go through. When the feed has finished, you need to stop the feed pump. Then you need to take the NG, kink it, unscrew close it, and then you're done. Another positive side of having an NG tube is that you are able to vent the child's stomach, especially if they are feeling uncomfortable or bloaty. When you are venting, again, you need to make sure that you kink the NG tube first, unscrew one of the ports, screw in your syringe, and then pull the syringe out. At the moment, Deanna does not have any gas in her stomach, but if she did, you would be able to see a whole column of air inside the syringe. And when you're done, again, you kink it, unscrew, the one negative side of having an NG tube is the flap that covers the stomach from the esophagus will always remain slightly open because the tube has to pass through that to get into the child's stomach. Because of that, reflux can happen a little more often. To make sure that it doesn't happen or that you reduce it, if you are feeding the child on the bed, you need to make sure that they're lying down on the left side, just like Deanna is now. If they are sitting down, you need to try and make sure they're upright as possible. The important thing to remember is that your child can still orally feed even though they're on an NG tube. It's not one or the other, they can have both. Deanna has now slowly started oral feeds with the help of her speech therapists. Our goal is to eventually get her back to the point where she was before she got very, very sick. The NG tube has been a very good backup option and a first option for us through the last couple of years. And for us as a family, it has been a better choice than having a Mickey button. I hope this video helps you understand what the NG tube is and to see if this is an option for your family. For us, it has been a very good option.